Hello and welcome to Route 99. This is DPM 60. We have here a few verbal ability type question. The first question we have here is a parajumble type question. We're given four sentences which we need to order such that it would give us a coherent paragraph. Okay, let's read the sentences one by one. And just like always, we'll try to find introductory statements, bundles, the two sentences which are bound together. Right, let's get started. TikTok's community guideline ban content with personal information that could lead to stalking, identity theft, and other crimes. But this particular video was still up on Wednesday morning. Which particular video is being talked about here? So, although there is nothing wrong about this being an introductory statement, this could be a continuation of, this could be an excerpt from the paragraph, and this particular video has been introduced before, prior to this sentence, and this could be my introductory statement. But as of now, this doesn't seem like my introductory statement because there is some clue. Originally founded in 2017 by two computer programmers in Poland, it's an AI tool just like reverse image search on steroids. It scans the face. Okay, what is this it here? What is this it here? In a photo and crawls dark corners of the internet to surface photos many people didn't even know existed of themselves in the background of restaurants or attending a concert. Okay, so some software was found in 2017 by two Poland computer programmers, which, what does it do? It finds people from the corners of the internet. It search for the images which may have been taken in backgrounds of restaurants or attending a concert, like that. It's a searching tool. It's an AI searching tool. While the company claims it is a service that can help people monitor their online presence, so they are all pointing out towards some software which is mentioned here. Here, the software yet hasn't been introduced. It has generated controversy for its use as a surveillance tool for stalkers, collecting countless images of children and for adding images to dead people to its database without permission. So while this was introduced as maybe the company which produced it, developed it, claimed that it would be used to help. It would be used to monitor people and their help people monitor their online presence. But it has generated controversy. Why? Because it could be a very useful tool for stalkers. It could help them collect images of children and add images of dead people without permission. Right, so these are its drawbacks. On the TikTok, Prime Eyes has become a formidable tool for internet sleuths trying to identify strangers with videos notching many millions of views, showing how a combination of PimEyes and other search tools can, for example, figure out the name of random cameraman at a Taylor Swift concert. Okay, so now they have introduced the software we have been talking about since the beginning, PimEyes, right? So there has been some software on TikTok, most probably a KPI on TikTok, which is called PimEyes, which has become a formidable tool for strangers, for stalkers who identify strangers. You know. So it talks about some video. So usually some videos which contains personal information are brought down in that could lead to stalking immediately. But this particular video was still up on Wednesday morning. Right, so there's a connection between 4 and 1. Now I have the choice between 2 and 3. So this, आपको नहीं लगता कि this describes the software we are discussing, and this concludes it by saying that it has generated controversy. So if I would put this before this would become redundant. There would be no use of 2 because the controversy around the software has already been discussed. So how does the flow work? You introduce something, you talk about its advantages or recent controversies, right? And then you conclude it, right? So this here is sort of that conclusion. So this here is that sort of that conclusion. So this cannot come before 2. So I have to place 2 before and 4. 3 after that. So my correct order comes out to be 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so again we are given 4 sentences. We need to order them. Research has shown that factors such as economic status, gender, and class have distinct relationship with mental health, affecting the prevalence rates of specific disorders. So there is a relationship between economic status, gender, and class distinction relationship and mental health. So they are somehow related, mental health and these 3. A positive correlation has been noted between economic status and mental well-being. So there is a positive relationship between economic status and mental. As higher your economic status goes, higher goes your mental well-being. As your economic status improves, your mental well-being also improves. And then the specific trends have shown that women are more likely to suffer from depression. Okay, so if you are a woman, you are more likely to suffer from depression, while men are more often diagnosed with schizophrenia. So you see, there are specific types of disorder in specific genders. So women are more likely to suffer from depression, while men are predominantly suffer from schizophrenia. Right. Additionally, class can further influence these disparities. One study found that working class women are more prone to depression compared to their middle class counterparts. Okay, class difference in class can also exacerbate the issues. So they're talking about 3 things: economic status, gender, talked here, and then class. Okay, mental health is not just an undivided concern but also a matter of social justice, as macro level patterns in psychological well-being vary across from different demographic groups. So do you see here, this introduces the topic that mental health is related to demographic groups. Like demographic groups is classification, right? तो क्लासिफिकेशन के बेसिस पे मेंटल हेल्थ इशू लोगों में डिफर करते हैं, राइट, वेरी करते हैं. So this here introduces the topic, this here continues it, that research has shown that there are 3 factors which affect them. So 4, 1, then this से additionally, तो मैं यहाँ तो नहीं लगा सकता, वो इसके एडिशन में आएगा, तो मेरे को 2 पहले लिखना पड़ेगा and then finally 3. So my order comes out to be 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we now understand just how wrong that notion was. The first aptitude testers promoted the idea that each person had an innate, more or less fixed intellectual capacity. Okay, dash, in the context of the early 20th century's growing eugenics movement, the tests were often deployed just to justify widespread racial discrimination. तो हाँ, ये बिल्कुल यहाँ पे सूट करता है, आ सकता था. बट आगे आप देखो तो टॉक्स अबाउट इन द कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ द अर्ली 20th century's growing eugenics movement. तो फिर दिस वुड अगेन नेगेट इट. यहाँ पे हम इसको पॉजिटिव में ला रहे हैं, देन अगेन यू वुड स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट how it was started and how it was relevant back then. So this would disalign with the idea we are going on with the passage right now. Dash, borderline deficient scores on the Stanford Binet were very, very common among Spanish, Indian, Mexican families of the South along and also among blacks. So अभी भी यहाँ पे this negativity around IQ test is going around, yet the notion hasn't changed. Then low IQ scores were simply and unarguably the result of objective deficiency. तो वो क्या मानते थे कि just because IQ scores are lower among some particular demographics, some specific races, it is an objective deficiency. मतलब वो पूरा class ही mentally थोड़ा क्या बोलते हैं, not so good performing है, they are not as intellectual as other races. Today, many psychologists understand IQ and aptitude tests to be cultural bound to one degree or another. Right? So now the notion has changed. Today the notion has changed. This is completely suitable here that we now understand just how wrong that notion was. So this has to fit here 3. So 3 is my correct option. Let's just look at 4. That is, they evaluate abilities prized in the dominant Western culture. So they just evaluate abilities which are considered valuable in the Western culture, such as sorting items into categories, and can privilege those raised in the in that milieu, in that environment. So it tests a person on the basis of things like sorting items into categories, etc., which are very relevant in that environment, in Western environment. Such inequalities have persisted despite attempts to make the test fairer to those from the non-dominant cultures. So if I would place it here, what good would it do? Right. Here it would change the tone of the passage. This here from negative to turn positive. It is continued here. Hence this is completely irrelevant. Hence my correct option is option number 3. Again a para completion question. This is the second last question, fourth question. Yet Elkins, so there is a contrast. Tanton's path to success and to science took many twists and turns. Linda Elkins is on a journey back in time to unlock the secrets of the early solar system and to ask some of humanity's biggest questions about the universe and about ourselves. Okay, so there is some scientist who is journeying back in time in the sense that she's trying to unravel the secrets of the early solar system, humanity's biggest questions. Elkin Tanton, Vice President of Arizona State University's Interplanetary Initiative and Foundation, and Regents Professor in the School of Earth and Space Exploration there, is a lead scientist of NASA's Psyche mission, scheduled to launch on October 12. So until this point, they are just elaborating Elka Tanton's, Linda Elkin Tanton's, right? So as of now, there is no space for contrast here. So I cannot place it in 1 and 2. The mission plans to land on unusually metallic asteroid Psyche to gain clues about the cores and formation of the other planets and moons, including ours, including our moon, right? Not including our planet, including our moon, right? Dash as an insecure young girl. So yeah, if you see this started talking about her being insecure girl, from here we're talking about her mission and everything. So there's a gap here, and this fits here as well. This took many twists and turns, and so these are the twists and turns as an insecure young girl reading Polish poet and this bicycle. These are the twists and turns of her life. So this fits here perfectly in the third option. Okay, a para summary question. The Japanese term kokugaku has various English translations, such as Japan studies and national learning, making it challenging to define. So there is some Japanese term kokugaku, which has various translation, which has various meanings. So it is hard to define. In the 17th century, Japan experienced significant growth in scholarship influenced by peace, prosperity and literacy, leading to increased studies of Japanese history, literature and tradition, which can broadly be classified as kokugaku. Right. So what is kokugaku? Study of Japanese history, literature and tradition, right, which was fueled by peace, prosperity and literacy. This is maybe a name of some initiative, right? So what is kokugaku? A study of Japanese history, literature and tradition. However, in the 18th century, the narrow sense of kokugaku emphasized Japanese uniqueness, contrasting primarily with Chinese influences. Okay, so in the 18th century, it came to known as the study of contrast between Japanese uniqueness and Chinese influence, some foreign influences, primarily Chinese influences. There could be other subjects as well with which the contrast has been drawn, but primarily it was China. This focus on Japanese identity evolved during the 19th century, extending its frame of reference to include Europe. So they later also include Europe to draw contrast, primarily China but Europe as well. During the Tokugawa period, 1600 to 1868, kokugaku was recognized through the works of scholars like Kichu and Norinaga, right? So until some period, kokugaku was recognized through the works of some scholars, some specific scholars like Kichu or Norinaga, right? Post the 1868 Meiji Restoration, kokugaku played an ideological role. After this 1868 restoration, which was called Meiji Restoration, kokugaku's role changed as an ideological role, influencing empire creation and evolving into fields like folklore. By the late 20th century, the term's use has shifted, with modern day nativist studies often referred to as Nihon Yaron, right? Something of that. So this is a Japanese term, a little difficult to pronounce. So by the 20th century, the term had shifted with its modern day meaning and came to known as Nohin Yeneron or something. Over centuries, Kokugaku transitioned from study of Japanese tradition to an emphasis on national identity. Yes, it did. It did turn into study of national identity, contrasting with Chinese and European. Yes, correct. Given elements eventually forgotten and replaced with Nihon Yeron by the 20th century. Was it replaced or was it merged into it? Was it taken into it? So this cannot be my option. Tracing the evolution of Kokugaku, it began as an exploration of Japanese culture. True, in the 17th century, contrasted with foreign influences, China and Europe, given but indirectly given. In subsequent centuries and by the 20th century, merged with the concept of Nihon Yaron. Right? This is perfect. This sums up all the points. This does not disalign with the tone of the passage. Seems like my correct option. From his 17th century roots, studying Japanese history and literature to his influences on Chinese literature. Influences on Chinese literature? There was a contrast with Chinese literature, but was it influence? No. Kokugaku's journey, starting as an in-depth study of Japanese culture in the 17th century, evolved through various phases of struggle. Struggle with foreign countries? No. It finally found this modern expression in? No, this is completely wrong. This talks about completely different thing. Hence 2 is my correct option. So that was the video, guys. I'll see you in the next